Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back. As always, thank you for the support. Really do appreciate that. I did mean to do a video the other day. Didn't quite get round to it because I ended up playing with this die, getting it to work for me. I had some problem because of the card I was using was a little bit too thick, so I did find a way that I could get that to work. So I'm going to be using the Spellbinders Floribunda Rose. That's from Susan's Gardens, her paper flowers. I've also got the spring quotes from one of the sets. And then I've got these two sets of dies from Sentimentally Yours, Phil Martin. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my trimmer. And I've already pre-cut an 8x8 card blank. Okay. So, and that's that there, just the plain squared one. I've got another piece of the same card. This just happens to be the Crafter's Companion one. And I'm going to cut this at 2 notches below the 8. And 2 notches below the 8. And then I'm going to do another piece of the same card, and this is going to be 4 notches below the 8 and 4 notches below the 8. Just pop those bits that we're not going to use to the side. So that's my first matten layer. It's just a tiny white one. And then the next layer again with this white card. So we were 4 notches, so I'm going to go to 7 1/4 by 7 1/4, and I'm going to bring in this patterned card. Oh, it's not card really, it's like a thick paper. This actually came from a Dovecraft goodie bag that you used to be able to get. I don't know if you can still get them in the range here in the UK. I'm not sure if you can get it overseas. I know Crafter's Companion did a similar sort of wood themed back in paper or card in one of the subscription boxes. I want to say box number 54, but I don't know if that's right. It's one of the ones that had the flowers in. So you may be able to get some sort of woody paper from there. If you want to, you can always add a bit of colour into it. So I'm just cutting this at 7 2 notches square, and then that should fit onto here with our nice border. We are going to cut into that. Okay, so let's pop that out of the way for the second. And I need those in a second, so let me just pop those there, and I'll switch my machine on, make sure that's working. Okay, so first of all, let me grab all of the plates I'm going to need. So those are my small ones. The first one I want to use are these big ones. Don't need the magnetic shim. Make an embossing fold up there. So I'm hoping I can get all of it onto here. If not, I may change this idea a little bit. Let's have a look. Yeah, so that's not going to fit all the way onto there. So let's see if I do. Right, okay, we'll skip that bit, we won't put that in. I was hoping that was going to be big enough. I would have to do a smaller card with that one. So let me pop those away. I have got some other stencils. Okay, so I didn't plan that very well, so apologies about that. I'm going to bring in this embossing folder. Believe it's a Creative Expressions one of the Sue Wilsons, quite an old one, and it's got the name of Rose in it, so I'm not entirely sure of the name, so please do forgive me. Okay, so we were going in with this one. So I wouldn't mind if it was debossed, to be honest with you, but I'm going to put it through and then we'll see which side we like the best. So it's just a 2D embossing folder, so I'm just going to use my 2 clear plates. I can always pop it back through with a shim if I need to. I think when I was playing and making this card, like trialing it, I did it on a smaller size, so and that's why it went through with a mask. I'd forgotten that they are slightly smaller. Ooh, some plates. Alright, let's put those away. Let's have a look and see which side we like the most. So we've got our emboss side, which is quite raised, and we've got our deboss side. Like I say, I do think the deboss side is going to be the side I'm going to be using. Okay, so we've got 1 layer, 2 layer, and then we've got these. So for these, I'm going to bring in these edger dies. These are the Edges Collection Elegance. And I'll just pop those out. They want to come out. And what I love about these dies is that they always come on a magnetic sheet, so you really don't have to worry about storing them in any way. They already come ready to store, which is perfect. Okay, so I'm thinking I will probably go with that one. We've also got this straight one. I think I'm going to go with a straight one. Okay, so sorry, I'm a bit sniffy today. And if you keep catching all these sores up my arm, sorry, Henry had to go to the vet today. He was running at the door, and then he came back limping. So he's done something to his knee socket. So we just spent 2 hours in the vets waiting to be seen there. So that was a fun start to my day. So I'm just popping this on the edge like so. Let's move that out of the way, and for this I can use my smaller plates. So let's just get those the right way around and pop that onto there. I'm going to pop my plate slightly forward just so I don't get that pressure on the edge, and then we can pop this through. Hopefully it won't make quite such a clatter. On the other side. It's not cut. So let's try again. Sorry about this, guys. I might edit some of this out. And there's this pokey tool. Oh, it's still not cutting. To fill it, and that's got it. Yeah, so sorry about that. I am going to edit some of that out because it did take quite a while for me to get the right little sandwich going through. I'm not quite sure why it needed me to pop it through so many times. Not usual with the Gemini, to be honest with you. Alright, let's just pop this off super carefully. It's behind anyway, so got this other layer going on top. So if it does pull up a little bit, we're not going to see it. And I have got a little bit of an indentation there, but I'm sure I can hide it. Most of it will be hidden anyway. Let's have a look. There we go. Let's pop that out with that little bit along there. And you can use your dye brush on this as well, I think. I think cut and tidy probably would have been a better way to go. I'll grab that for the next piece. I'll still use that metal shim just to make sure I've got a good bit of pressure there. I think my machine's gone a little bit loose for some reason. Okay, let's pop that there. Just make sure that's all empty. Oops. And a little bit there as well. Okay, so just get rid of all of these bits. Bit of that one. That one there. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I'm putting this on the right way. And oops, took the wrong bit away. Just going to pop this on like so. I can always chop a bit off the top if I'm not quite in the right place. So this is going to be fine. I'm just lining these bits along the edge. And there. And if I grab my cut tidy. Okay, so I've got my cut tidy. I'm just going to pop that inside. I've got my metal shim, my plastic plate, magnetic and plastic, and my top plate. I'm just going to pop that in like so. First time for me. Looks like it has done perfectly. Just ease this one out because it's paper rather than card. On there. Okay, let's pop those to the side for a second, and then this one I can just snip off that end, and then hopefully it's got some little bits in there. You see the difference the cut tidy makes in getting those pieces out for you, like all of those dots. There's 2 left out of all of those 2 pop out, and we're going to go just like so. Can have it over and then it doesn't match up, or I can cut a little bit off it, which is what I think I'm going to do. Okay, so if I take just a slither off that side and a slither that side, and let's see how that sits. So I just want that little white edge coming through, but ideally I want these to match up as much as I can. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's pop that out of the way for a second. I'm going to pop these plates out of the way for a second, and what I'm going to do is just do a little bit of assembling to where we are at the moment. So we've got our base, our other base, and our card blank. Okay, so like I said, I am going to be using the embossed side. So for this piece here, I'm going to bring in some Oasis from Crafter's Companion, and I've just got a little messy mat there, and this is the largest of the mats, and I've got myself a dauber here, and I'm just going to go around these edges. So I just want that hint of blue because it will be on a white piece. I want to bring all of these colours through, and the rose that I'm going to be doing is going to be coloured blue. So I'm just going to make my way all the way around, and I'm just not really touching it, just adding that little bit of blue. It's just going to give me that little hint of a shadow on my layer there. And although it won't look much on here, when you put it against the white, you should really see it, and I'll show you that in just a second. So what I'm aiming for with each layer, just have something a little bit about it, just to give us a bit of interest. So let's put that to the side. So as you can see, when you put that white on, you can really see that blue pop through. I'm actually going to take a little bit off that, just a tiny trim off that. With the embossing, it's just stretched it just a little bit. So let's just take probably about 1 notch off each end. I'm not really measuring it as such. Let's just see if that fits a little better. And that should sit nicely. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's just pop these out of the way. Right, so I'm going to bring in some all-purpose glue. Yeah, it's one of my favourites, but this is a non-porous card, so this is the perfect occasion to use it. And even though I've got that embossing on the back, as long as I put a good glue spread on there, I'm not going to have any problems sticking this down. Just going to flatten that out for a second. Just you can see where the embossing is just stretched that card a little bit, which is why it's trying to pucker a little bit. So let's just give that a good press down. There we go. And what I'm going to do while I do the next layer, oops, I'm going to pop that under my mat. Okay, so for the next layer, again, I'm just going to put this all-purpose glue all over the solid part. And then if I just pop my pin out this tacky glue, I'll just pop some on my hand. Obviously, if you are allergic to this, please don't put it on your hand. Use one of the dotty pens or some other way of just getting that stuck down. I've never had a reaction yet to it. There's a lot of things I do have a reaction to, but the tacky glue is not one of them. Just going to get that down, give that a nice press down, and because that's paper, that's gone down nicely. It's not got that embossing to mess it up a little bit. So while the other side is still sticking down, what I'm going to do is bring in some of this. This is a reel that I've had for quite some time. You can see it's a bit sticky. It came, Mum bought it, and I think she got it sort of somewhere that Linda Chapman had recommended on one of her Facebook lives. And I think it's a company that Linda deals with or knows, or you know, it's sort of had a relationship in some way, you know, a business relationship obviously, and it was huge. This is we've had for a while. Like I say, it is super sticky because I've had it so long, and I'm working my way through it, but it is good stuff. So sometimes I use this, you know, you can use your hunky dory, anything like that. So that's ready now to go on. So let's see how this other piece is doing. If I find it, there we go. So yeah, that's stuck down nicely now. Okay, so my card is going to be a 10th fold, just because we're going to have quite a lot of weight on there. So I want this to support it really nicely for me. Just before I put that on, just going to go ahead and burnish that down a little better. Okay. So again, with our all-purpose, which we love because it gives us our wiggle time. Just be careful of it with foiled or anything with a coating on, like your pearlized cards or your adorable scoreable, that sort of thing, because it can take some of the finish off. Okay, so just be a little bit careful. And then this piece is going to go into here. Just peeling these backs off, like I say, a little bit sticky. Just take that pin out, and just as always, just a little bit of tacky glue just to give me a little bit of wiggle time, and also that little bit of security. And then I'm just going to bring this down. I just want that to go sort of around the middle there. Okay, so that's where we're up to at the moment. Okay, looking okay as it is. So next, what I'm going to do is bring in this set of dies. This is the Charming collection, the Charming Flags. Again, comes on its own piece of magnetic to store, and you do get quite a few in there, including these little buttons, which are cute. And I believe I used the second one down last time, so let me just, yeah, so it was the second one down. And I want myself some playing card. Let me just grab that. Is that going to be wide enough? Yeah. And that piece. Okay, so let's just down the middle. And I'm just going to pop these on with a little bit of tape. And this one, it has all these little dot sort of pinprick all the way around, so they're really delicate and pretty, these. One of my favourite sets from the Sentimentally Yours. I do use them a fair amount, if I'm honest with you. So just because we had that problem earlier, I'm going to pop that in my Cut and Tidy and use the metal shim and just put that through. And that should come out pretty well, as it does. Take that gently. And then when I pop this out, you'll see how lovely it is. And then you've got that delicate, and you've still got that pinprick detail all around the edge there as well. So we've got this one, so let's pop that one back out of the way. We'll tidy that up later. And then again, this one here. And we'll pop that through. Okay, and again this one will pop out, and you've got a lovely pinprick detail all around the edge. I'm hoping the camera will pick that up. I think you can just about see it. Okay, so we can pop that out the way and that out the way. So I am going to do some inking on this this back piece, you know, to match this here. I'm not going to do that yet. The next thing I'm going to do now, so this is in itself a whole piece of work, and this is to create this rose. Now I am going to warn you, it is a fairly sizable rose. Let's see if I can get it out because it's stuck to the packet. Oops, I've broken the packet. And like I say, these are Mum's, so this was her favourite thing to do, although she did struggle very much with it at the end, just because the breathing and everything. So I did try making these with some Crafter's Companion card. I did try making them with some sort of pound shop card, cheap card. And then in the end what I did was I made these with some copier paper. Okay, so this is, it's not your sort of cheap 90 GSM, this is 120 GSM copier paper, and it's super smooth because I am going to be colouring it. And what I did was I folded 2 sheets in half, because on these dies it does tell you how many you need. So for this one, this smaller one, I need 3. For this petal on its own we need 6, so we'll have to cut that one again. These larger petals we need 2. This one we need 2, and then this one 2 or 3 times it says. So this is the leaves and the actual bud itself. So I'm going to pop those inside here just for that bit of extra pressure. So away. And I think I will just leave that in there just because my machine's been struggling a little bit today. I'll just pop those through. I might clank when it comes out back. Oh, no, not too much. Okay. And then what I found was cut through with those layers in one go. So that one we needed 3, so we've got 3. That one we needed 2, so we've got 2. That one we needed 2, so we've got 2. This one says 2 or 3 times, so we're still good for that one. The only one I need to do again is going to be these single petals. So I'm just going to pop that on and run that through again. We should have more than we need. petals. I might just keep that a little bit handy just for testing my pen on in a second. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to say, and this is very important, I am not an expert at making these flowers, okay? If you want to watch somebody who knows how to make these flowers and make them look absolutely perfect and real, watch Susan's Gardens. It's a Spellbinders, but Susan does YouTube videos for each of her flowers, and she also does some Facebook Lives if you join. I think it's a Susan's Garden group that Mum was in. So, you know, there are plenty of options there. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 of those, and it's, so now we've done those ones, and then the next largest one down, which is 3 of those. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm going to colour it using a classic pen. I found this was the best pen to colour them in, just because I was simply laying down colour. I found the Illustrator pens, they do colour them, but the nib, with the brush nib, I found it took longer, and I wasn't as happy with the effect at the end. So I felt with this classic pen with the bullet end, I can really saturate it on both sides and get a good result. So the one I'm using is BT6 Peacock Blue, and then what I did was just simply put my flat nib down and start colouring out like this. So, and I am aiming to get a good amount of colour coverage, but I also want the effect of these sort of streaks, because to me they look like veins. And also by keeping doing that, it really saturates this bit in the middle, which would be naturally dark. Okay, so what I'm going to do exactly the same with all of these. Okay, so it's just a question of keeping on going in and colouring it round. And doing it on both sides. And to a certain extent it will bleed through, and that's just going to add to the effect. So you know, it just adds that. You can see it's already starting to get darker in that middle bit, which is what we want to happen. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to these other bits. I've got the other large one and 3 of these, the largest of the triple. So I'm just going to fast forward to when I've done all of the colouring in. Okay, so I've done all those. So what I'm going to do now, just for this section, on making these, so I've got these single petals, and I'm also just going to do exactly the same on these 2. So again, just going in for that centre. Let's just get that nicely, and then whipping it over and doing the same. So the effect I'm going for with this rose is like those painted ones, you know, the ones that look like they've got the white coming through. So if you want a sort of different type of rose, you can use your blending techniques with these pens, or any other pens that you've got, just to do your normal blending where you sort of blend from dark to light. I just kind of like the effect of this one, so that's why I've done that today. So those are all for my outer piece. Okay, so now with these smaller pieces, so let's see, we did 3 of these as well. 1, 2, 3. Just checking that I've done the right ones there. Yeah, they are smaller. One. And that one. Oh, I only needed 2 of those, but I did 3 on the other one, so I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to do exactly the same on these. I'm also going to do 2 singles. Yeah, so I'm just going to do the same, exactly the same with these, just colour the blue in, and these ones, so I've got my 2 petals and I've got 3 of the smaller triple leaf. This is going to form the bud, so I'm going to do this colour in, and then we'll come back, we'll put the bud together, we'll leave that to set, and then I'll go ahead and get this started, because when we make this piece up here, we will glue that straight onto the card, because it just tends to sit a little better that way. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the colouring. Okay, so the last thing, and I forgot to tell you, is the leaves. So I've got 2 big ones and 1 little one. I haven't used my illustrator because I haven't got many greens in the classiques, so I'm using alpine green. And again, just doing this fanning out, painted leaves effect, which means it should be naturally darker in the center. And it will all blend in. So and when we put the lines in the leaf, we will put a crease down the center of the leaf, and there will be some sort of lines going out, so if it's darker in the middle, it just helps us along. Oops, got a bit of white there, I don't want white too much, so yep. Oh, there they are. So again, just following that round. I am putting quite a bit of colour down. I'm not leaving it quite so sort of veiny as the petals, because the petals are normally a lot more veiny than the leaves are. So although I don't mind a bit of white on there just for the sunlight sort of hitting it, I am pretty much giving it a good bit of coverage. But I'm not being, you know, I'm not being precious about it. I'm just literally just slapping the colour on. And this is quite a juicy pen, so it's helping me quite a lot. And then the last one. And like I say, you know, if you're doing the Academy of Colour, or you've watched any colouring tutorials on Crafter's Companion, you will be able to blend your colours on your leaves like a pro. I probably could blend them to some extent, but it's not what I'm going for today. Right, okay, so that's that. Okay, so I'm going to move these bits out of the way a second. I'm going to bring in my stamping mat, and I'm using the back of it, and I'm picking up these 3 smallest triple leaves and 2 of those. I've also got just this little coiled up piece of card that I've just sellotaped round with some masking tape. And I'm also going to bring in these, which were Mum's, but they're the Spellbinders Susan's Garden Tools. One, Mum's just put some ball tool ends on, and the other one she's got like this hockey stick which I believe you can get, and it sounds disgusting, but a spot or a pimple squisher, which is very similar if you're struggling to get it. And then this one is a leaf tool, which I think is Susan's patented leaf tool. So I'm just going to pick it up and just on one side, just going to go around the edges. Now these are paper, so you know, don't go gung-ho on them, just be real gentle. And what I'm doing is just giving this paper a little bit of movement, and it will put creases in, which is going to add to the look of our petals, because obviously if you've ever looked at any petals, they're not perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to do that with all three. My hand gets super achy after doing all of these, which is why there was a new video after I'd done one the other day. But I've told you before, I have a few issues with my hand. Sometimes it's putting pressure on anything for a continued length of time. So we've got those, and then I'm going to do the same on here. Although we are going to be rolling these up. And on Susan's videos, she only uses one of these in the centre of her bud, because I'm using paper and I find that it does move apart a little bit easier. That's why I've used the two. Okay, so the next thing I need is going to be some tweezers, and I just have to find the right ones. Those are the pointy ones. And I'm going to be using this Pinfil bookbinding glue, just because it's got a quicker grab for this making flowers than the tacky glue. So that's why I'm using it. So the first thing I'm going to do is put this point into the centre of those petals, so if it stays there, and I'm just going to give it a bend up. I'm just going to go ahead and do that with all of the petals first of all. So only these ones that are all connected, so not on the single one. And then I'm just going to pop there, do the same. And this again is just giving us a bit of movement into our petals. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do is just put my tool on the end and just start to give these a little bend around. And I think with the paper it tends to look a little better if you just go right to the end itself, so my tweezers don't grab or they don't stay shut like they should. So just going to go ahead and do that with all of them, and I'm not going to do it with the singles at the moment. So when I put those two together, then that's going to be the point when I do this petal bending. Oops. So you can see what happens if you go quite in a little bit, you get that sort of line there. And then we've just got this one, and this is really a video on its own because it takes a bit of time, but hopefully I can cut bits out of the video and speed it along for you. Like I say, if you want to watch somebody doing this a whole lot better than I am, then Susan is the place to go. So I'm going to take these now, and taking the round ball tool, the larger one, and I'm just going to go in and just give that a little shape around, so they're going to be coming forward like that. This is with the larger one, so I'm just pressing in the centre, not too hard because I don't want to go through my stamping mat. I'm remembering that this is only paper, and then turning it around with the smaller one, and again just giving those a big pokey. And then I'm going to come in with my glue, and I'm going to start with this first one. I'm just going to pop a bit of this glue into the center, and then I'm going to offset these and push that down into the glue like so. And then again, can offset those again, push that down into that glue. You do get a minute to move them around, and what we're aiming for is to form the sort of bud of the flower, so just going to move it around a little bit and shape it, and then I'm going to pop that just into that little holder there, and that's just going to hold that while it glues. Okay, so this bit again, a little bit of glue, but we're going to glue it slightly differently. Just going to put a bit along that end, and then I'm just going to pop my glue on there. See if I can stay, and then we're just going to roll that. Going to release my tweezers, and I'm going to let that fall out just a little bit, and then if I clean my tweezers off before I get into trouble, and I'm just going to put that back a little bit. Okay, and then this bit here, what I did was I put a little bit of glue on this end, and then I continued to roll that round so that we had a bigger bud, like so. A little bit of glue on there, hold that in, I just twizzled that back a little bit just so that it looks like it's trying to open. Okay, and then I had to hold it for a little bit just to take, even though this glue is a faster take than the other one, just needed to give it a bit of time. And you can tease these petals about while you're waiting for that to set. And then what I did was pop a little bit of glue into the center, drop that down, oops, and then pop that in. And then as I pushed that little flower in, they did all come around it like so, and you can play with it a little bit, and then I left that to dry. Okay, and to your eyes it's going to look not brilliant, but when it's together it looks better. Okay, so that's the only way I can explain it. Okay, so I'm moving away from the flowers for just a second. I'm going to come back to this Oasis ink and this piece here, and again just going to go around and ink this nice and gently. It's just being gentle. I mean, this is card, so it's pretty resilient, but yeah, obviously just be a little bit careful that you don't bend all these up, because you want them to look sort of nice and flat. I mean, what you could do if you wanted to is cut this out again in a silver and give yourself a silver mirror back just to raise it again. I've been trying not to use mirror, you know, like just to sort of just try out different things. I love mirror and I use it to the cows come home if I can, to be honest with you, but I'll just put a bit more on that corner because that's a little bit right there. But I was just lately I've been trying to sort of steer myself away from it just a little bit. Okay, so we can pop that out the way. So So then we've got this piece here. So this piece, have I got it the right way? Yeah, I've got it the right way. Obviously it goes on to here, but I want a little bit of interest there. So this is when I'm going to bring in my embossing mat that I tried to use earlier. So if I bring in my small plates, so I want my stencil, I want this face down, I want my, on the floor, I want my embossing mat, no magnetic shim, plastic shim, and my lid. And then we're just going to pop that through. Okay, let's have a little looky. That's the way. So we've just got that very delicate embossing on there, and that's just going to raise that just a little bit there. So super happy with that. Pop that out the way. Okay, so again with this I'm going to raise it a little bit. I'm going to put it flat onto here and then raise this just a little bit behind it, so I can go in with this all-purpose. Pop that all round and then just pop that into the middle. Like so. And then I'm going to come in again with this foam on a roll, which is a bit stuck on it now, just because it's quite thin. It's probably only about 2 mil, so the flower itself is going to be quite raised, so I don't want this to be hugely high, because I mean already it's going to go in a box. It's probably going to have to be about 1.5 to 2 inches deep, just because of the height of that flower. Okay, so let's just pop these off. And I can come in with my tacky glue for this one. Just a little bit on the back, just to give us that little bit of. And then I'm going to go straight in the middle, like so. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so then now what I'm going to do is come back to my stamping mat. I'm going to come with my larger petals and my leaves. Just move those bits out of the way. So it's pretty much exactly the same as what we did before. So I'm just going to go around. So just to remember that your rose is going to be curling in. So on the back side, whatever the back side is that you've done, just go around these edges, shaping, and then just putting those creases into those petals. So when that creases up, it's going to go like so. And again, just keeping going with these. And also what we did before with the centre, so give it a good little pinch up. And we're also going to curl these over. Okay, and I'm going to do this with all of these here. Okay, so these ones, just remember I'm going to be slotting these in, so I will be curling these back exactly the same as these. So what I'm going to do is just fast forward this now till when I've done all of the shaping on these leaf parts. Okay. Okay, so that's all done. So the last thing I'm going to do is these leaves. So I've already done 2. But I'm going to take this sort of line tool here. I'm just going to go straight down the middle, and then just a couple of veins out like so. And then if you want to, you can give it a bit of a shape up. They do bend quite easily. I think Susan also puts a bit of yellow on the back. You know, you can do that, and obviously it looks nice, but I don't think you really see a lot of it anyway, because I tend to shove them underneath. Okay, so that bit's up to you. Okay, so lastly then, I'm just going to take my ball tool. So I'm going to start with this bigger one, and then do a smaller one, and again, oops, hands are getting tired now. Again, I'll press down. This is just going to help when we sort of pop them together on the actual project itself, our card. Obviously these would look nice on a plaque or something, just purely because of the dimension of them. Okay, let's pop that out of the way. Let's move these over. Okay, so what I decided on here was that I was going to have my flower in this area here, and then I was going to have a sentiment up here, and then I was going to have some dewdrops there. Okay, so I'm going to start with the largest petals. So I've got 2 of those. Again, going back to this bookbinding glue, and I do want it to come over just a little bit, but not too much. I'm just going to pop that in, press that down with my ball tool. I'm just going to give that a minute to take. Okay, and then obviously this one is going to be offset, so this glue is running out, which is disaster. And again, just giving that a good squash down. You will see some glue coming out, but it dries clear, so absolutely no problem whatsoever. And then we're going to keep going. So I've got these 3 trifold leaves that we've done. Again, offsetting straight into the middle. And if you've got a glue gun or you know, glue pen, something like that, you're gonna be able to stick these a lot faster. I have got one. It's new. I haven't used it yet. Mum bought it for me. It's a cordless one. I asked her to get it for my birthday, and then she bought it for me just as a present, bless her. So, but I haven't actually played with it yet. So, okay, so let me just give that one a bit of a shape round, and then that one's going in and down. Just going to give that a good press. Okay, so that's where we're at the moment, and then bringing in, oops, just dropped that, our little bud that we made earlier. I'm just going to put a decent sized blob in the middle there, because it's quite a lot to hold, and I'm popping that just straight in. Okay, and then with these bits where you've got like a sort of a gap there, what you can do is just pop a little bit of glue on the end, and then just pop it straight in. Give it a little bit of a shape, and then I've got one on the other side as well. So these are just filler ones, and they could go under there, you know, they could go anywhere. I'm going to go here. I'm going to filler in the middle. Okay, so that's my rose. The other thing I need as well, so before I put the glue away, is my petals. Not petals, leaves. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of a bend up. And the other thing I'm going to do is just put a little bit of shaping on that leaf to turn it around, just so that when it's on the card, it's better done on the mat actually, but when it's on the card, what it does is it just presents the leaf in a way that's just makes it stand up a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to put a good blob glue on the back. I'm just going to put that under. You can see it really starts to come together now. Put one in there. And where should we put this other one? I think I might put it in there, like so. And you can put more leaves if you want. I've got a memory box fern somewhere, and I think that would have looked nice behind it, but I know Susan does a fern as well, but I just liked the more delicate one, which is a memory box one. So then, just to finish things off, I'm going to bring in my stamping platform. I use the Hunky Dory one, and I'm going to use the sentiment which says to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow, and that was apparently by Audrey Hepburn. So let me just grab a nice piece of white card that I've not squished. There we go, that will do. And I'm going to pop that on. Put that there like so. And you've got loads of different ones here. Blossom by Blossom, The Spring Begins. That's by Algernon Charles Swinburne. No Winter Lasts Forever, No Spring Skips Its Turn by Hal Borland. Happiness Held in the Seed, Happiness Shared is the Flower, John Harrington. The First Blooms of Spring Always Make My Heart Sing by S. Brown. Spring Adds New Life and New Beauty to All That Is, Jessica Harrelson. Despite the Forecast, Live Like It's Spring, Lily Pulitzer. And then Oscar Wilde says, A flower blossoms for its own joy, Oscar Wilde. And then Rainer Maria Rilke, Spring Has Returned, The Earth is Like a Child That Knows Poems. So those are there. Now I could go ahead and stamp this in the blue, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do it in the black, just because. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop that down. Don't know if that's moved, so we'll try and stamp it again. We might have to find another piece of card. Let's see. Have you moved? No, you haven't moved, but you're right. Okay, bear with me. Let me just stamp that again. Let's grab another piece of card. There we go. Just going to pop that to actually turn that way. Turn that around. And there. And I'm going to just wipe that stamp off. Like so. And then we'll try it again. It's not the stamp because I stamped it the other day and it was fine. There we go, I think that is better and I will go with that. Let's stamp back over there. I'm nearly done, sorry, it's going to be quite a long video. So if we bring this in, I'm going to trim this right down. Okay, and then I just want another mat, which I'm going to do in that blue, and I'm going to mark it with my nail just because that's going to be quicker than to measure it. You might want to cut a certain size topper beforehand. Let's have a look, what's that like? And then I'm going to bring back in that little mat, my Dauber and my Oasis, and just on this plain bit, just going to go around just so that it shows up against that. And if you wanted to go even darker, what you could do is use the same colour pen as the rose and do a, so as if it's a piece of card behind there rather than an inked piece. I'll just colour it with the alcohol pen instead. Okay, so this is there, so that's that. So we will go with our, let's go with our tacky glue. Put some of that onto the back. And onto there. That will take a second to set. While that's setting, what I'm going to do is bring in some gems, these dewdrop ones. I just want 3. And I will use another piece of this foam tape that I've been using all along, just because I might as well keep going in the same vein. There we go. Again, a little bit of tacky glue on there just to give us a bit of wiggle room. And this is going to go on this side here, like so. And then just grab these little dewdrops. Of course that glue will dry clear. And the other thing I want to do is to grab myself a butterfly die. Okay, and I'm going to use this tiny one, which is a Liabilities Small Butterflies and Flowers one. So I'm just going to pop that on because I just want a real tiny one. And then we'll just pop this through. My plates, just put away. No, I don't know whether to pop it through my. Let's pop it through there. We won't bother with the metal shim. Put it to there. Let's get these plates the right way around. Out. Now there are, I've got hundreds of butterfly dies, loads of Crafters Companion ones. I just thought maybe what I would do is just use a different one for now. Let me just pop that back in. I'm going to bring in this blue. Just put some more blue on. Just stenciling through just to pick up those blues. So hopefully I should have a blue and white butterfly. Let's see what that looks like. There we go, so we've got our little one there. I'm just going to fold him up, shape him down. I'm going to pop him up. So my mum loved butterflies, so that is our card finished. So This card, when I thought of it, obviously with my mum's flowers, you know, the Spellbinders are my mum's collections. It was actually her birthday on the 27th. So I couldn't find a stamp anywhere. I don't know if any of you guys have seen one, a happy heavenly birthday stamp. Well, I certainly would be interested in one if anybody knows of where I can get one from. But this is a birthday card in honour of her. So happy birthday, Mum, bless her. That's it for today. Next time I'm going to come back with some hunky-dory, nice, quick, easy cards. And then after that we'll probably go to Crafter's Companion. I may do something with the Crafty Witches, because I've still got that Pollyanna Pickering kit there that I still want to play with. I haven't really played with that as much as I want to, so I may do another video on that. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and take good care of yourselves. Bye bye.